Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today, and how is life where you are? I hope everything is good. Everything here is fine. Um, I just got back from my oldest daughter's birthday dinner. She turned 15 today, which means in this state, she is. Ooh, that was not a good idea. She is able to get her learner's permit and start driving on roads with people in them. And that's a scary thought, but she's an awesome kid and um, very conscientious person, so I'm not worried about her driving. But it's crazy to think that it's 15 years ago she was born. And so I got back from that, but before I left, I attempted to film a little bit of a video because I was like, I'm going to show this, or I'm going to at least record it for my future uses, and that is me working on this beast. So I told you yesterday that I had put a picture up on Instagram. Essentially, what I have going on here is that I have this wheel, which, if it's not obvious, does not match the wheel that's on the bandsaw. This is the original wheel that came with the saw. The one that was on the bottom was broken, and so I replaced it. And it was my understanding that these 14-inch bandsaws were all basically manufactured in the same place. There's a whole bunch of different brands that made these 14-inch saws. So I just assumed back then when I got this is like a couple years ago, I assumed that this was like a standard saw and that a wheel off of one of these would fit. I was wrong. The shaft on my motor is 0.75 inches, so 3/4 of an inch. This is something like 0.78-ish, somewhere around there. So it's 30 thousandths difference, which is significant. And so for the longest time, for the last couple of years, I've just had a piece of plastic in there to shim it. And this piece of plastic is only like 0.015. It's about half of the thickness that it needs to be, but not. It's not. This isn't quite 0.78. This is a little bit over 0.015. So 2 layers of this was slightly too thick. I just put it together and said screw it. And what that has done is over time, as this wheel wobbles essentially on that shaft, it stretches and shrinks my blade and causes it to snap. It causes it to fatigue. So I'm trying to eliminate that. And it's about 20 thousandths or so of run out. Like, you can visibly watch this wheel wobble when it runs. You can watch the whole bandsaw shake because of it. And so so I thought, well, I'm not a machinist. I don't have the capability of machining a spacer to fit this thing. It's a keyed shaft. So I need the keyway to be preserved. I can't just stick a spacer in here that's a full circle. So my thought was I would order some bushings or some spacers off of Amazon. And what I found was a little these part numbers don't do any good. This is a 3/4 inner diameter, whatever outer diameter spacer. This fits my shaft really, really well, but it does not fit inside this wheel. So my thought process was, that's okay. As long as it fits this shaft snugly, I will take a mandrel from a little drill-powered drum sander, and I will put this on there, and I will tighten it till it holds this, and then I could spin this and use a file to bring it down to size. I thought that would work. And it kind of worked. This is the actual one I've been filing on. It's close. It's not close. It's not even remotely close, in fact. It needs to go a lot smaller. The problem that I'm having is these bushings are split, or these spacers have a split. So as this gets thinner, the pressure from this rubber makes it swell, which means I'm not filing it evenly, which defeats the whole point of doing this. So I think that's a dead idea. If I had a lathe with like a proper tool holder, I could probably machine one side of this, flip it over, machine the other side, and I would have a spacer that would work. I don't have a lathe. I have no access to machine tools. So I don't know how to fix it. And the fix might be to find a wheel that has a 3/4 inch shaft center hole. But what I'm finding on eBay is people are selling them for over $100, and I just don't want to sink $100 into a used bandsaw because Harbor Freight's selling these again for like 300 and something, and this saw is old enough and worn enough that it would be best if I just bought a new one. But I don't want to buy a new one. I want to fix this. So, if you have any ideas of how I could shim this thing properly with an actual made-to-fit shim so that it would sit on there, it doesn't even have to be like perfect. It could still be out 5,000s, and I think that would be, or maybe even 10,000s. Wouldn't be too dramatically bad, but I would like to figure out a way to get this thing centered on the shaft accurately so that it spins nicely, nice-ish. And I need to be able to do it with common, hobbyist tools because I don't have any machining abilities. So, if you have an idea, let me know. Leave it in the comments. And I will go through them and try to figure out something that works. But for now, I have a whole bunch of work problems to deal with. So, this is on hold for a little bit. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing? Wow, that was very nasally. Thank you for being amazing friends and wonderful people. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from, there isn't one. Apparently, Google has removed the I'm feeling curious search. So, I have no random fact for you today because I didn't prepare for this. What do I do now? What do we use for this segment? This has been a segment for 3 years now. If I can't Google I'm feeling curious, what do I do with my life? Send me some facts.